So for this last example, we're going to talk about same using this principle, distributional fullness, putting it into the shoulder area. So in this particular example, we need to shift the waist dart into a bust apex dart so that we can create a new style line that will allow us to create this one has a yoke seam, a midriff seam. So we're going to create a style line seam that comes to a point like a reverse sweetheart here, which is what this line is. The slash line will be your design line, and then allow us to create slash lines there, which will create fullness. So first things first, you're going to pivot your bust dart, your waist dart, into a center front apex dart. That new center front apex dart we're going to have come from the true apex. Then you're going to create your design line. You want to create your slash line here, closing your dart. This could be your slash line. You could follow the seam, or we could create a new one that is using this as your slash line. It would come down to the French dart position. And then, so here, I'm going to create my style line. I'll be lazy and follow this apex line as my seam. And then I need to have control notches. Remember, our control notches are 5/8 of an inch. Backing off from the neckline and the armhole, I find my midpoint of my shoulder, and that becomes my first slash line. Looking for my clear ruler. So my first slash line, I'm going to connect here to the middle of my dart. Then I'm going to create that at least 5/8 inch. Here's my second slash line, equally distant. I'm 1 inch away from, this is 1 inch, this is 1 inch. And this will be my style line. And we're going to now close this neck dart, open up these slashes, blend them, trace our control notches into there. All of this excess here, when this pops up, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you what it looks like in the craft paper so you can see it more clearly against the white. The first thing I need to do is we're going to pivot the waist dart into the bust dart area. So if I'm pivoting, remember, we're tracing, as always, from, establish my grain line. And then I'm tracing from new to old. Put my pencil in my apex. Pivot my waist dart closed, transfer from new to old, so we've maintained this placement here along the apex line, neckline, shoulder, armhole notch, side seam, waist, so that the new dart looks like this, right? And don't forget your true apex. So now we want to create what this new seam line is going to be. So in this case, it's a slight reverse sweetheart popping up. So I'm going to create here's my true apex. I want my seam line to be maybe like bisecting the apex, and it come down here, and come from my French position. So very feminine. But we need to close that apex, and we want to create some slash lines here. So 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch. This is where the gathering is going to be. Here's my apex. This is what my midpoint is. Find my midpoint of my shoulder. That comes down here to the apex, to the slash line. Then these join equally distant 1 inch away, parallel from that area, 1 inch away. And don't forget we have our dart that we need to close. So now I'm going to cut, don't forget you have this is your center front. So I'm going to cut this out and then we're going to secure it to the point paper. Slash, slash, slash. Side seam. Armhole. Don't forget to transfer that armhole notch. Shoulder. Waist. Center front. Pivoted center front. Neckline. Okay. This is my style line. I'm going to, here's my true dart. That was my true apex, right? We had created this new dart here, and this was my other dart line. This is my seam. It's going to create two different pieces. I'm going to slash down, not all the way to the apex, back off. Slash this all the way down to that seam line. Slash this down to that dart, which we're going to close. Okay. Transferring to point paper. Step 1. Grain line. Step 2, hook up bodice to grain line. Here's my center front. Lower bodice. Here's my center front. Upper bodice. I want to close that dart. And in doing so, you have this slash line here, your style line, which is going to be part of the seam line. We want to create this fullness here into the shoulder. I want to pivot this, radiating dart, fullness into the shoulder. So I've closed the dart, put it into the shoulder. Secure. Oops, the tape just escaped me. So then you'll trace off after you've secured everything. Remember that you want to blend. This is going to be fullness. So you'll blend that all back in. You need to make sure that we have control notches in here. So those need to be at least 5/8 of an inch from each seam area. Don't forget, this is your slash line, you wanted this original seam line to be here. This would become two different pieces. Each, the top and the bottom, would have a grain line and seam allowance. Each piece would need to be labeled, cut 2, cut 1, however many pieces you have. And that's this demo.